Hello, welcome to another SonicLAB special. Today we're here with Simon Stokes from Shugle Studios, where he does Ableton certified level training, as well as being an artist. Name of the act you go under?
Petrichor. I'm on Soma Records, making kind of ambient techno music, largely, yeah.
Okay, and well, what we wanted to do is really sort of show a little bit more about the new features in Ableton Live 10, because there's quite a few new devices and workflows and instrument, in fact, which the first of which is the Wavetable synthesizer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Wavetable is the new synthesizer for Live 10. It's kind of their new flagship synthesizer, I would say. And I've actually gradually moved towards using Wavetable a lot more for my own productions than Operator, which is my previous go-to. Wavetable synthesis is super popular right now. It's got, because you can create such a diverse range of sounds with it. That's what I really love. So I thought we could have a quick whiz around and build up the elements of a track just using Wavetable to sort of get familiar with the layout.
And it changes a little bit because we're not just limited to this kind of device bar down below. They've used up some more screen to show us a bit more synthesis capabilities. Exactly, right?
Yeah. It's got a really nice button here which brings it up and lets you see your two oscillators at the top, which each can have Wavetable loaded into them, plus 3 envelopes, 2 LFOs, modulation matrix, and it's all right there in front of you, which is what I really like about it. So it's amazing for sound design. If you're into sound design, then that's to be able to see everything without clicking through windows is ideal. Let's just create a single. Oops, got a wee note on the go just now, and then we'll have a wee look at how it works.
Just a straight sine wave, right?
Straight sine wave for just now. So at the moment we're only using oscillator 1 of 2, and the difference with Wavetable compared to other synthesizers is that each oscillator has a wavetable loaded into it, which lets you smoothly scroll through different waveforms essentially. And there are a whole bunch of different wavetables loaded into this. So kind of harmonics used.
Yeah, that's very good for having those harmonic progressions.
Picks out little harmonics.
Yeah,
if you've got that through delays and reverbs, it's going to sound really, really beautiful. So yeah, that's the whole premise of a wavetable synthesizer, and there are tons and tons of different wavetables loaded into this for playing around with. So if we look at the formant ones, for example, formant stuff is all to do with vowels and mouth kind of movements. So this is your A, I, O, U. And really the whole point of it is that you can get really nice modulation on these to create textures.
Yeah, I mean, because you either have it as like an interesting fixed waveform, but modulation is where this thing's going to come to life.
Yeah, modulation is really what wavetable synthesis is all about for me. So I think really any synthesizer can sound flat and lifeless without modulation of some kind, but with wavetable synthesis, you can do really interesting things, and that's where I think for me this synthesizer really stands out because it's so easy to modulate. So, for example, this is our oscillator position here, where you choose where in the wavetable you are. We could use an LFO to control that simply by clicking the oscillator position, coming down to this matrix here, and you notice when you click something, oscillator 1 position appears, and then we can just use LFO1 to modulate that. And the rate that we choose on here is how fast we're kind of going. And we could get it going, if we want to create a pad-like sound, then
just with movement.
Nice, slow movement where it texturally changes as it goes through. You can see at the moment every time a note is pressed, because it's just a 1-bar loop just now.
It's resetting.
It's resetting, yeah. So we can turn retrigger off on the LFO to let it constantly go up and down. I've set it really nice and slow, so it just goes up and down. We can also smooth out the amp envelope to stop it clicking like that. And we get that kind of nice movement up and down where it's just picking
Imagine
out.
You put some time-based effects on that and you're going to be into...
Exactly. So we could rack a little bit of, let's just pop a little bit of, I've got a Convolution Reverb on a send there. We'll add a couple other things and then maybe we'll start putting some nice effects onto it too. So if I take a second oscillator, choose another one, so let's just say, well, it's quite retro maybe. So that adds, this is quite cool because it's like a recording, it's almost like a recording of a delayed sound which you can scroll through. So it pings occasionally. So again, if we did something similar, like use LFO2 maybe to modulate that. And then just, again, bring it down nice and slow, no retrigger. and just have them going a bit off kilter, just modulating around each other.
Can you filter these down as well? Is there?
Yeah, because it gets a bit sharp.
The harmonics are quite strident.
It's a bit resonant sometimes with wavetable stuff, so it often needs some interesting filtering to kind of get it to move. So down in the bottom left, we've got two independent filters which can run series, one after the other, or in parallel, like over the top of each other, or there's lots of different ways of using them. Let's make this into a chord so we can get more of an idea of what it's going to sound like.
Which brings you to another device. How very smooth.
Well, very slick, yes, as always. So yeah, one of the MIDI effects, these are often overlooked, I think, inside of live. MIDI effects like chord, just let you add extra notes to the one that's been played in, very simply. So, for example, if I wanted to make a minor chord...
Can we zoom in on that?
Yeah, we can have a look here. So, if we wanted to make a minor chord, then we can take the 3rd semitone up and the 7th semitone up. And that creates a minor chord off the root note, which is the one that we've drawn. Or we could put this 5 semitones down. You know, you could add an octave up, like +12 maybe. So you can really quickly create chords and things just by playing around with that. Let's pop a little bit of, this is begging for a bit of echo, I think. This is, in Live 10, has been my absolute #1 thing. I put echo on absolutely everything. The echo just sounds good.
Sort of analog tape emulation kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a bit like the old Roland Space Echo. I've got one of them in the studio. I tend to run my Rhodes or my 101 directly into it. Just everything sounds beautiful through that. This is quite cool because it's got, I mean, it separates itself from the other delays in live because the feedback can feedback into itself and give you that tapey...
that degradation.
Yeah, exactly. It can sound really, really nice. And it's also got a reverb which can have a feedback loop inside it as well, which you can do all sorts of mad sound design type things with that too. But for just now, I've been banging it on all sorts of things.
And this is new in Live 10 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just new to Live 10. It's an absolute must. There's so much you can do inside Echo. That's a whole other day into itself. But yeah, so we've got, let's just pop a little bit of echo, maybe take a wee bit of reverb from that as well, so it can sound quite cool. And then the sound here, it sounds okay, but it's a little bit kind of staticky, a little bit.
There is movement, but there's
could do with more sort of modulation or whatever.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we can get, in Wavetable, there's a lovely unison section on that output, and unison kind of like almost duplicates the synthesizer and detunes it against itself. It can sound really nice. And I've been finding if you stick shimmer onto it straight away, it kind of opens it up and lets it kind of warble and vibrate and sound much more.
That sounds like almost an old school string machine chorus ensemble. But
I just got a little Waldorf strike fit. It gives that kind of idea.
I mean, but it's only one chord that's happening here. But
yeah, it's so basic, but you can hear the difference just by adding that in, and you can multiply up the voices to the point where it can get really weird and wobbly and kind of sci-fi or something. But actually, on its default, it's normally quite nice, which I quite. I like being lazy sometimes. It's good. So yeah, we'll keep that just as a background texture. I normally start tracks with just a bit of texture. A bit of a drone or something like that just runs in the background. And I thought since we're making a track using Wavetable, I've made a couple of percussive parts as well. So I've made a kick drum. We won't break this down, but if people want to download it and have a wee look at the how it's done.
Oh yeah, well, if you want to get hold of this session with all the kind of tips and tricks inside it, what Simon's done, we're going to offer this for download. There'll be details in the show notes, so do go for that.
Yeah. So I've made a kick drum here. This is just using Wavetable with just a sort of pitch envelope to create a kick on it. And we've got a drum rack with a whole bunch of different things. Now all of these, if we have a look, little hi-hats.
And they're all done in Wavetable?
Everything's done in Wavetable, yeah, and I've just dropped Wavetables into a drum rack. Some people don't realise you can do that, but if you want to use it for percussion, you can drop a synthesizer into a drum rack as well.
For a single voice, for a single pattern?
Yeah, yeah, which is quite nice.
That's interesting. What's that sort of tickety?
Yeah, it's just this is a little sort of click sound I've just made with a really short amp envelope. So it just catches the attack of it at the beginning, and then we're just using an LFO to kind of pitch it up and down. Again, that's just a similar thing. It's just in the matrix. We just adjust oscillator 1 pitch.
And maybe zoom in on that. Let's have a look.
Yeah, have a quick look. Yeah.
Okay, right.
So the more you put it up, the higher the kind of
Right, okay.
drop is, and it's just a sort of falling sawtooth type wave. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. I love making drums out of synthesizers just because you can get so much control over them. You can pitch them to your tune.
Right.
Like the kick drum here is in the key of C, as is the chord, and maybe as is whatever else.
So it's automatically, yeah, so you can
So it kind of almost adds a little bass line into your track in some sort of way. So yeah, I really like doing this. You also get loads of control over it because, for example, with this kind of noise hat, maybe, if you wanted to modulate it a little bit more, you know, you could, at parts of the track, you can just bring down the amp envelope to shorten it, or you can bring it out.
If you've got push, you could be
get the elbows out and just get it all recorded in. Yeah, no, so that's how I would do it. In the studio, I would obviously have a bunch of controls mapped up and just be bringing things in and out constantly. And I think it's that all the modulation that brings synthesis and brings your tracks alive, having things move rather than just being too static, basically. Right. So yeah, so that's just some percussion. Let's look at maybe making a more kind of rhythmic pad element or something for the track.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll bring in, let's just start with another blank wavetable here. Okay, so let's just create another, let's just keep it super simple just now. I'm just going to draw a single note and just bring this down. I actually really enjoy being lazy in music production and letting Ableton do a lot of my bidding for me. So we'll just take a little, so we're just creating a little repeating note, very simple. And again, use another chord device maybe. Let's try a different chord. I like working out complex chords on the piano that I like and then recreating them in a chord device here.
Right, okay.
So, for example, if I'm making deep house, I like jump onto a forum and find some nice deep house chords, like deep jazzy chords, ones that I couldn't actually play, even though I play the piano, I couldn't transpose them up and down, and I'll build them into chord devices so that I can use them in the future.
Ah, okay.
So one I really like is this one, where it takes the original note, plus 10 semitones, plus 14, plus 15, plus 19.
So this is like the golden ratio, isn't it? They were giving out magic numbers here then, Simon, aren't you?
Just gives this nice, deep, sort of jazzy kind of chord, which sounds really nice with all types of music, I think. You can hear it's quite nice and jazzy sounding even just there. And if we go, let's bring Wavetable up and we'll have a quick look around here. So again, what I normally do if I'm trying to build a sound is just start flicking through different wavetables and trying them, see what happens when you play with the oscillator positions.
Yeah.
Let's try complex. Some of these are quite mad, quite distorted sounding or something.
Very hard steps between the waves.
Yeah.
But that looks more
this one's more
like a harmonic filter suite.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful.
I know, it's lovely. And you can switch it into this circular mode where it's even...
Oh, right, that's pretty.
It's quite, once you start modulating that, you can spend some long lost hours just staring at it.
Watching it, yeah.
If you're a wee bit sad like me. But yeah, so let's try a complex one. I don't know, let's try. That's quite nice, got it's quite filtery as well. It's like a notch filter. Yeah, high pass and notch together or something like that. But I imagine if we start to modulate that, you can get really nice texture even though it's just a single kind of note.
Right.
So let's try a couple of LFOs. Maybe this time not have them re-trigger again, and maybe sync them up to the beats.
Yeah.
So that we're not just running in random times. And I normally try putting one really regular
Yeah.
And then one a little bit off kilter, so maybe on 1/3, 1/6,
Oh yeah.
at slightly different timing or something like that. And then just try playing modulating things. So say for example my oscillator position here. I've clicked it, so that's LFO1 is modulating, and then we can try adding. Because we're using LFO2, which is running at a different speed, you get a more interesting pattern going on here. And we could try using those same LFOs to modulate lots of things, like maybe the decay. And to bring that in and out sort of thing. So we could try. So that's just moving this in and out a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And then maybe we could try playing with the filter as well. It's not used that too much yet, so we could bring filter frequency down. Maybe.
I like the way it automatically adds it to the matrix, so you can just.
Yeah, as soon as you click it, it's done. And we could let's add a second filter and maybe a bit of a notch filter or something like that, and then click on the frequency for that, and we can just. Or maybe we can have this going like, and obviously this is all completely synced to the beat, so let's get a little bit of echo on it, obviously, because echo goes on everything. A little bit
that brings it to life, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of reverb as well on ascend. And it's just adding like a rhythmic, really simply actually, because we just set up the modulation sources and then triggered a few things from them, and it gives you that kind of rhythmic, and we can tweak it here. Maybe soften it down. It's almost a kind of dubby sound with the delay, and occasionally you could catch that and I'll get that lovely kind of like dub off into the distance, which I love so much. And you can see that even though we've only got two elements there, because of the modulation in the wavetable.
It's got a lot of life in it.
Yeah, totally. It seems to, it's kind of breathing a little bit or something because the pad is constantly changing. That's what wavetable synthesis is all about, I think.
Right.
That's why I love Waldorf keyboards. I love Ableton's wavetable.
Can you add your own, or is it all the stuff that comes with it?
You can, if you're a little bit hacky, you can add your own, but I'm hoping that's something they're going to add in a wee future update.
Making wavetables your own way is quite complex because you've got to get all of it.
It's tricky, yeah. There is a way to do it just now, but it's a bit like hacky. You know, if you're that way inclined, you can find that online, I'm sure. I'm certainly not going to go into it right now. And then let's just add a second. I'm not going into much detail, let's just use a basic sort of sawtoothy kind of sound. A bit too much. Maybe take it just a little bit more top end. And little tweaks to the modulation is going to make a big difference to the rhythm of that and how it works. So if we take a little bit of, change the filter a little bit. So you just, tiny little changes change the whole rhythm. That's what I really like.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple of things. Let's just name these up. Pad, rhythm. And yeah, we could probably add a little bass line into this or something just to kind of...
finish it off.
Yeah, finish it off. Okay, so I'll just add another wavetable into here.
So we're using, this is wavetable.
This is
Right?
all wavetables,
Right,
man.
okay.
This is lots of tables of waves. But yeah, we've got, incidentally, like every time I get a new synthesizer, hardware or software, the first thing I try to do is do an entire track just using that. I've even got YouTube videos where I've made tracks just using sine waves or white noise, or just using one synth, percussion, all the elements, It's a great way to learn it, I think. That's the way I like to do it. We do that in our classes as well when I'm teaching people operate, or they try and make...
I guess you get to know something more, yeah.
Yeah, because you can do everything. If you think about old analog drum machines, they're just waveforms which are modulated in a particular way. So it's really easy to do most things with them if you just think a little bit laterally and try and work out how to do it. So with a bass line, let's just work something out. Something like that. Okay, let's just do this, record it in. Just do another bar just for safety, so it's a bit different than the first one. And that'll do us for just now. So we've got a nice little loop there, and then we just try and make a kind of interesting sound out of it, basically. Normally the first thing I do with making any bass sound would be just take it out of poly mode, because overlapping notes and bass just...
Yeah, it starts to get a bit messy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't sound quite right. So again, it's just a simple kind of sine wave at the moment. But we could give it a little bit of movement. So let's start off, let's just adjust our amp envelope so it just stays nice and loud. And let's look at our different waveforms again. So I fancy something quite sort of vicious sounding that we can tame with a filter. And just... Because that's nasty sounding, but
it's almost like sync-like, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it's actually a re-recording of some kind of sync. Yeah, so let's take that and modulate it again. Same idea. Modulate it a little bit, maybe using the thing, because it's all about the movement. If you're using wavetables, you may as well modulate a bit. So let's get a nice long.
Slow
and maybe mess with the shape a little bit, because we've kind of kept everything fairly shiny at the moment, but playing with the shape,
you can sort of morph the...
Yeah, morph it. It's almost like a wave folder or something, but you can sort of morph it into a different shape. And then I'll click on oscillator position. That brings it up here. So maybe for the first section, it's going to go up the way, and then the second section, it kind of comes down the way. I like that little warble at the end, sounds quite cool. So yeah, let's use that, and let's also filter it down, because it's too abrasive right now for me. And we could maybe modulate this frequency using one of the envelopes to sort of bring it up and down sort of slowly to give a nice sweep on it. So if I just turn up filter frequency envelope 2, right now it is going to sort of pluck it almost, because the filter's coming up. I love how he visualizes it on here, so you can see what it's doing. If we give it a nice... Let's make it come up a bit and back down. And we'll maybe use the amp envelope to sort of tail it off a bit. It's still a bit raw just now, maybe it's coming up too much.
Nice.
It's getting better. A little bit of reverb.
Reverb on bass?
I know.
Oh, it's outrageous.
I break the rules. It can sound nice. What I've actually done on the reverb is dial off the low end on it, so it's basically filtered off. Let's give it a nice bit of something else going on over here, maybe a bit of detune on it to make them shimmer off of each other. And there's also a third oscillator over here, a sub-oscillator, which you can use to really beef up the bottom end. So down octaves is always nice, because that gives you that really real massive, deep kind of growly kind of sound. And then remember, we've also got the unison mode over here as well, so we could try classic unison. Which gives you the power, or like shimmer again, it gives you the kind of weirder one. Let's bring this up a bit.
It's a really interesting effect. I've never heard of it, a sort of shimmer unison. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of them there to play around with. That sound quite smart. And just to finish off, I'm going to put echo onto it, because I just can't live without it. Again, delays on bass, got to be super careful, but if you roll off the bottom end, you can get the nice tapey texture to the...
It sounds quite analog now, doesn't it? Sort of almost PWME filtery. Yeah, it's nice.
Absolutely, yeah. And hopefully that should sit. So it's just biting through when it needs to, but other than that, it starts off very tame underneath. Just needs a bit slightly different rhythm to it. Yeah, and you can see how, you know, with a bit of tweaking and a bit
so it's quite flexible.
Yeah, a bit of messing around, you could definitely build an entire track using that, and it could be quite credible as well, I think, anyway. So yeah.
Nice one. Simon, thank you ever so much.
Thanks for having me.
So that's Wavetable, which is available in Ableton Live. Is it Suite version only, or does it come in the standard?
It's for the Suite version, right. Yeah. You can upgrade your standard version to just include Wavetable as well, but it comes with Suite, yeah. Okay,
and as we said, we're going to make this session available for download, so we'll put details of that in the final video, in the show notes, or wherever it'll end up, but stay tuned for that also. Thanks for watching. See you next time.